This penny almost ended up in a child's piggy bank, but when a collector recognized its secret, it sold for over $1.5 million. Think about that for a second. A single penny, a coin you might toss into a tip jar or drop under the couch, could actually be worth more than a brand new house, more than a luxury car, more than a lifetime of paychecks. The 1969 D. Lincoln penny that holds this kind of value is still hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. The story begins in the late 1960s, a time when the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure. Billions of coins were being struck for circulation. Errors slipped through the cracks, and some of those errors changed history. One of those mistakes happened with the 1969 D penny. And it was so dramatic, so rare, that when the first examples surfaced, collectors thought they were fake, but they weren't fake. They were real. And today, the right 1969 D penny can bring in as much as $1.6 million, but here's the twist: not every 1969 D penny is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth just 1 cent. The difference between a penny that buys nothing and a penny that buys you a mansion comes down to one shocking detail that most people miss, and this detail is so tiny, you might have already held this coin in your hand and never noticed it. Collectors were stunned when the first one was verified. Dealers scrambled to track them down. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know what's hiding in their pocket change, but before we reveal the secret, imagine this: you're at the grocery store. You hand over a dollar bill and get back 99 cents in change. Among the pile, a worn, ordinary-looking 1969 D penny slides into your palm. Do you toss it into the change dish by the register? Or do you stop, hold it up to the light, and realize you're holding $1 million miracle? This exact scenario has already happened, and it changed a man's life forever. But here's where things get even more mysterious. In 1969, the U.S. Secret Service actually stepped in. They seized many coins that looked like errors, believing they were counterfeits. Collectors were terrified to even admit they had one. But after extensive study, the truth came out: these coins were not fake. They were genuine U.S. Mint errors. And their value skyrocketed. This is why today, the 1969 D double die penny is one of the most legendary coins in American history. And yet, here's the part that shocks most people: even with all the publicity, even with all the headlines, there are still examples hiding in circulation. They are out there. In drawers. In jars. In dusty boxes of old change passed down from parents and grandparents, and if you find one, you're looking at the difference between a penny and a fortune. What is the secret detail that separates an ordinary 1969 D penny from a $1.6 million treasure? It's called doubling. The 1969 D doubled die penny shows dramatic doubling on the inscriptions. Look at the words Liberty and In God We Trust. On the rare variety, the letters look doubled, as if they were struck twice. This doubling is bold, powerful, and unmistakable when you know what to look for. But here's the trap: there are countless minor errors and worthless varieties that fool beginners. Not all doubling is valuable. Machine doubling, caused by loose dies, is common and worth nothing. But the true doubled die of 1969 D is sharp, clear, and shocking when you see it. Collectors who know this secret can spot a life-changing coin instantly. Those who don't will pass right over it, and that's why this story is so incredible, because this exact penny, the same coin you might ignore, the same coin you might hand to a cashier without thinking, could actually change your life. Dealers have paid tens of thousands of dollars for lower-grade examples. In pristine condition, the price climbs into the hundreds of thousands. And one record-breaking sale pushed this tiny coin all the way up to nearly $1.6 million. 1 cent, traded for more money than most people will see in a lifetime. And here's what makes it even more exciting: the 1969 D doubled die penny is not the only valuable variety from that era. Other doubled dies exist in 1970, 1972, 1983, but none of them carry the same weight, the same legendary status, as the 1969 D. This is the king. The one every collector dreams of holding in their hand. And if you're listening right now, wondering if it's possible that you already have one sitting in your coin jar, the answer is yes, because ordinary Americans, people just like you, have already made this discovery. And their stories are jaw-dropping. One man was sorting through a box of wheat pennies, only to spot the bold doubling under a magnifying glass. That single coin paid off his mortgage. Another collector, at a coin show, traded pocket change for a coin that turned out to be worth more than his car. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began fighting for the right to sell these coins. Each sale pushed the value higher. Each discovery made collectors more desperate to find their own. And every new headline reignited the hunt, and the hunt isn't over every day, coins are changing hands. Cashiers, waitresses, gas station attendants, kids saving their allowance, all of them could be touching one of the rarest coins in America, without realizing it. So here's how you know. Check the year, 1969. Look for the small D mint mark under the date, for Denver. Then, focus on the inscriptions. Hold the coin under light. If Liberty looks like it has a double image, if In God We Trust seems to have two outlines, bold and clear, then you might be holding a piece of history, and don't stop there. Always compare your coin to verified images of the genuine doubled die. Because when you find the real one, there will be no doubt collectors were shocked when the first ones appeared. The government was stunned. And today, dealers are still rushing to get their hands on this coin, because this isn't just a penny. It's a golden ticket. A miracle of chance. A 1-cent piece that shattered all expectations, and the next discovery could be yours. So the next time you dump out a jar of change, the next time you're handed a handful of coins at the store, stop. Look closely. Because the difference between a penny that's worthless and a penny worth $1.6 million could be right there in your palm. This coin almost ended up in a handful of change at a gas station, but when it was finally recognized for what it really was, it shocked collectors across the country. A single 2002 penny, 1 cent, became worth nearly $1.7 million. And the reason why is something that could be hiding in your very own pocket change right now. Imagine this. You're holding an ordinary penny. Copper-colored, a bit scratched, nothing special. But then your eyes catch a tiny detail, and suddenly you realize this little coin is not just a cent. It's a fortune. A life-changing miracle in the palm of your hand. That's the exact story behind the mysterious 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other coin. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But here's the twist, most 2002 pennies were minted with clear mint marks, either a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. Yet a rare few slipped through the presses with nothing. No mint mark. A blank space where history itself seems to pause. Collectors were stunned when the first one surfaced. How could the US Mint, with all its modern technology and rigorous checks, make such a glaring error? Was it an accident? Was it intentional? Or was it simply fate, a tiny mistake destined to create one of the most valuable pennies in modern history? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the first of these no-mint mark 2002 pennies appeared at auction, nobody knew what to expect. Some experts whispered it might sell for a few $100s. Others thought maybe a few thousand. But as the bidding began, hands shot up, paddles waved, and the price climbed higher and higher. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. Collectors gasped. The air in the room grew electric. And then, finally, when the gavel came down, the final price was nearly $1.7 million. One man's pocket change had just become $1 million miracle, because these coins weren't supposed to exist. By 2002, the mint had nearly perfected the process. Errors this dramatic were considered nearly impossible. Yet here was proof: solid copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams, a diameter of 19 millimeters, but missing its most important detail. The mint mark. And here's where the story takes another shocking turn. You see, most people glance at their pennies and never notice the mint mark at all. It's small. Easy to miss. On the front of the coin, just below the year, tucked under the curve of Lincoln's chest. Millions of people see it every day and never think twice. But for the 2002 penny, that tiny detail is the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Think about that. A single missing letter, no larger than a pinprick, can change the value of a coin by $1,699,999. Collectors rushed to their drawers, jars, and coffee cans. Coin dealers began scanning bags of pennies with magnifying glasses. Stories poured in of hopeful hunters searching through thousands of coins in hopes of finding just one. And yet, the confirmed examples remain painfully rare. But here's the chilling truth: it's possible that many of these pennies are still out there. Still hiding in circulation. Still resting in a dusty box or forgotten piggy bank. Waiting. Imagine being the person who finds the next one. A coin no bigger than your thumbnail. And suddenly, your life changes forever. Bills paid. Dreams fulfilled. All because you looked just a little closer. But what makes this story even more mysterious is the unanswered question of how these no-mint mark pennies escaped the mint in the first place. Some theorize a malfunction in the stamping process. Others believe a batch of mint mark dies simply slipped past inspection. A few even whisper about deliberate release, a shadowy act by someone on the inside who knew the chaos it would cause, and the story doesn't end with that first $1 million sale. Since then, whispers have circulated through collector forums, coin shows, and secretive dealer backrooms. A second example may have sold privately, again for over $1 million. Some claim they've seen one with their own eyes. Others insist it's a myth. But if true, that means at least two life-changing 2002 no-mint mark pennies are out there, locked away in collections, or still waiting to be discovered. But here's the part that most people don't know: not every 2002 penny without a mint mark is real. Some people, desperate to cash in, have filed or rubbed away the tiny letter themselves. But experts can spot a fake instantly. The real ones carry tiny die markers, little quirks in the metal that prove they were struck that way at the mint. If you find one, you'll need a professional grading service to confirm it. And if it's authentic, the value could soar into the millions. First, check the year, 2002. Then look just below it. Do you see a D or a P? If you do, it's just a regular penny. But if the space is completely blank, no letter at all, your heart should skip a beat. Next, inspect the coin carefully under good light. Make sure there are no signs of tampering, no scratches, no tool marks where a mint mark might have been removed. A genuine no mint mark will look natural, smooth, and flawless in that spot. Finally, weigh it if you can. A genuine 2002 penny should weigh 2.5 grams, give or take a tiny fraction. Anything dramatically lighter or heavier is suspicious. And then, if everything looks right, get it certified. Because once the experts confirm it, you're not just holding a penny. You're holding history. Think about it. Right now, as you're listening to this, there could be a forgotten coin jar in your kitchen, a dusty drawer in your bedroom, or even a penny in your pocket that holds the power to change your life. That's the magic of coin collecting, the idea that treasure doesn't always sparkle like gold or shimmer like diamonds. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when the 2002 no-mint mark penny first surfaced. Dealers are still searching. And the truth is, the next discovery could belong to anyone. This penny was almost forgotten until one collector realized he was holding a coin worth nearly $2 million. It looks ordinary. A simple brown penny, dated 1971, with no mint mark. The kind you might ignore, toss in a jar, or drop on the ground without a second thought. But this tiny piece of copper hides a secret powerful enough to change someone's life forever, because the 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny, in the right condition, can sell for up to $1.8 million. Now imagine this. You're counting loose change. Pennies jingling in your palm. Suddenly, you notice the date, 1971. And something about the way the coin gleams feels different. What if, without knowing it, you were holding one of the rarest treasures in American coin history? But here's the chilling truth: most people who've owned this coin never realized what they had. Some were lost forever. Some were spent like pocket change. And some turned up at auction, shocking the entire coin collecting world. One collector remembers the moment vividly. He had a small box of coins handed down from his grandfather. Nothing seemed unusual until he found a 1971 penny that looked almost untouched by time. It was flawless, sharp, and glowing with its original luster. Dealers gasped when they saw it. That very coin, once thought worthless, sold for hundreds of thousands. And then, the bidding war began. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because as experts examined more 1971 pennies, they realized something extraordinary. Hidden within this year's mintage were rare variations, minting mistakes, and conditions so perfect they were nearly impossible to find. Why? Because in 1971, the US Mint struck billions of pennies. The majority were rough, overused dies that left coins scratched, faded, and ordinary. But a select few were struck under nearly perfect conditions, creating a sharpness so rare, collectors call them museum pieces. And those survivors? They become legends worth up to $1.8 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to get their hands on them. And suddenly, a penny most people overlook became a $1 million miracle. But here's the secret most people miss: the 1971 penny has no mint mark when it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And that's where the story gets mysterious. You see, Philadelphia coins often look plain, overlooked. But once in a while, an error slipped through. Some were double dies, where Lincoln's features appeared doubled: his eye, his beard, even the word liberty splitting into two. Others were struck so perfectly, with such crisp detail, that time could not erase their brilliance. These were the chosen few, and when one of these surfaced at auction, jaws dropped. The bidding climbed higher and higher. A single penny, once sitting in a drawer, reached 6 figures, then 7. Until finally, the hammer fell at nearly $1.8 million. Think about that for a moment. A penny, worth more than a house. More than most people will earn in a decade. All hidden in plain sight, but the mystery deepens. Because not every 1971 penny is valuable. Most are worth only a cent. So what makes one shine above the rest? Here's where it gets thrilling. Experts look for 3 key signs. First, the condition. If the penny has sharp edges, full luster, and almost no scratches, it could be a gem. Second, the errors, doubled dies are especially valuable, where the lettering or Lincoln's features show doubling under magnification. And third, the grade. Coins professionally graded as mint state 67 or higher are nearly priceless. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle because he noticed the doubling on the word liberty. Another found his fortune when his 1971 penny was graded in near-perfect condition. In jars, in dressers, in forgotten coin rolls waiting to be opened. Every single day, collectors are still hunting. Dealers are watching. And the next person who stumbles across one of these legendary coins could become an instant millionaire. This is why the 1971 no mint mark penny has become one of the most talked about treasures in modern coin history. Because it represents something magical, the possibility that an everyday object could hold unimaginable value, and just when you think the story ends, another coin appears. At one auction, a 1971 no mint mark double die penny shocked experts when it soared past expectations, fetching a fortune. The whispers spread. Could there be more out there? How many were struck? No one truly knows. That's the mystery fueling the hunt, but here's the detail that changes everything. Most people dismiss pennies from the 1970s. They seem common, unimportant. Yet it is within these overlooked coins that the rarest treasures often hide. And that's why collectors with sharp eyes and patience have struck it rich. The suspense never fades. Because every time someone checks their change, every time a jar of coins is opened, there's a chance history could repeat itself, and here's what you need to look for. If you come across a 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, don't ignore it. Hold it under the light. Study the details. Look for doubling in the lettering, Lincoln's eye, or his beard. Examine the luster. Is it sharp, glowing, untouched by wear? If so, you may be holding a treasure worth millions. Don't make the mistake so many others did, spending it, losing it, overlooking it, because the 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a secret door to fortune. A piece of American history wrapped in copper. A once-in-a-lifetime discovery waiting to happen, and tonight, it could be sitting in your pocket. So the next time you see a 1971 penny with no mint mark, remember this story. Remember the collectors who gasped, the dealers who rushed, the ordinary people whose lives changed in an instant. This penny almost slipped through someone's fingers, almost spent on a cup of coffee, almost lost in the shuffle of everyday change. But when it finally surfaced, collectors realized it was no ordinary coin. This was a 1979 Lincoln penny, struck with the Denver mint mark, carrying a secret so powerful, it could turn a single cent into nearly $2 million. At first glance, it looks like any other copper coin. Small, worn, easy to overlook. But that's exactly why it's dangerous to ignore. The rarest treasures in numismatics don't shout for attention, they whisper. And this coin's whisper has shaken collectors to their very core. You see, in 1979, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies. Most are worthless beyond a cent. But buried among them, a handful contain mistakes, mysteries, and misstrikes so extraordinary that when they appear at auction, they leave jaws on the floor. Why are dealers and collectors calling it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery? It all comes down to the details. The tiniest imperfections. The quiet accidents that happened when dies clashed, when punches slipped, when the minting process went wrong in a way it was never supposed to. Some of these pennies reveal doubling on the date, others show faint anomalies on the mint mark, and some, so rare, were struck with copper alloy compositions in an era that was supposed to be dominated by zinc, and yet, that's only the beginning, because the story of the 1979 D penny isn't just about metal and machines. It's about human fate. Imagine a man in Denver, fishing through his pocket change after work, finding a coin that looked just a little off. He set it aside, thinking nothing of it. Weeks later, he learned that his odd little penny was no ordinary mistake, it was a rare error, one of only a handful known to exist. When it finally hit the auction block, collectors went into a frenzy. Bidding climbed higher and higher, until that single penny, once worth only 1 cent, was sold for nearly $2 million. Many of these 1979 D pennies are still out there, sitting in jars, in drawers, in collections passed down through families who have no idea what they're holding. Dealers whisper about them. Collectors dream about them. And every day, people unknowingly spend them at grocery stores, vending machines, or gas stations. This is where the suspense deepens, because the only thing separating a worthless penny from a $1 million miracle is your ability to recognize the signs. Look closely at the date, 1979. Then study the mint mark. On some of these pennies, the D appears doubled, punched slightly off, or strangely misshapen. Under magnification, you might see lines, splits, or ghost-like shadows of a second mint mark. That tiny imperfection is enough to change everything, but the secrets don't stop there. Some 1979 D pennies are struck on leftover copper planchets, blanks that were supposed to be retired in 1978, after the mint began experimenting with zinc. Finding one of these is like finding a time capsule, a mistake that never should have escaped the factory walls. Collectors were stunned when they learned that certain 1979 pennies, weighing just a fraction more than their zinc counterparts, were the key to unlocking hidden value. Dealers are now scrambling to weigh every 1979 penny they can find, desperate to spot one of these rare survivors before it vanishes forever. And yet, the most shocking discoveries happen when least expected. Imagine a woman cleaning out her late father's desk drawer. She finds a little paper envelope marked odd coin. Inside, a single 1979 D penny rests untouched for decades. When she brings it to a coin shop, the dealer's eyes widen. He rushes it off to be graded. Weeks later, she learns that this forgotten coin, sitting unnoticed in a drawer for 40 years, is now valued at over $1 million. But what happens when two of these rare coins appear at the same time? At one auction, collectors watched in disbelief as two bidders battled furiously for ownership. The room grew silent as the final hammer fell. One man had just paid over $1.9 million for a penny most people would have ignored. And the whispers in the coin world grew louder. If one man's penny is worth nearly $2 million, what's hiding in my change? This is the magic and the mystery of coin collecting. It's not just history, it's treasure hunting. Every coin tells a story. Every mint mark carries secrets. And every collector knows, life-changing wealth could be hiding in the smallest of details. But here's where the story takes its most dramatic turn. Because most people miss it, they spend the coin before looking closely. They ignore the mint mark. They never weigh it, never check the edges, never look for the faint doubling that transforms it into a rarity. And just like that, their chance at fortune slips away. First, examine the mint mark. If the D looks doubled, distorted, or oddly placed, set that coin aside immediately. Second, weigh the coin. A normal copper penny should weigh around 3.11 grams. A zinc penny will be about 2.5 grams. If your 1979 penny tilts the scale in a way that doesn't match, you may be holding a rare transitional error worth a fortune. Finally, look for unusual details, die cracks, off-center strikes, or anomalies in the lettering. These tiny mistakes can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Collectors everywhere are waking up to the truth. The 1979 D Lincoln penny is not just pocket change, it's a golden ticket hidden in plain sight. The next time you reach into your pocket, the next time you dump out that jar of coins, remember this: the coin that could change your life forever might already be in your hands, because this isn't just a penny. It's a story. A secret. A piece of history that could be worth over $1 million, and if you're lucky enough to find it, your life will never be the same. This coin almost ended up in a vending machine, a penny that could have been lost forever in the shuffle of everyday change. But when it was finally recognized for what it truly was, it shocked the entire collecting world, because this tiny coin sold for nearly $1 million. Now imagine this. You reach into your pocket, expecting nothing more than a handful of loose change. Quarters, dimes, nickels, and a single, ordinary-looking penny dated 2001. It feels common, familiar, unremarkable. But what if I told you that very coin might be hiding a secret so powerful, it could transform your life in an instant? Because among the billions of pennies struck in 2001, there are a rare few that carry a mistake so shocking, so valuable, that collectors would pay fortunes, yes, up to $1 million, just to own one. The story begins deep inside the US Mint at the dawn of the 21st century. In 2001, billions of Lincoln Memorial cents were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Day after day, presses thundered, blank planchets fed into the jaws of machines that worked with industrial precision. To most, this was just routine production. But to coin collectors, 2001 would become the year that birthed one of the most shocking rarities in modern coinage, because sometimes, even the most precise machines make mistakes. And when a mistake survives, slips past inspection, and makes it into circulation, it becomes a treasure. One such mistake involved double striking, where a coin is hit twice by the dies, leaving shadows of Lincoln's face or the memorial on the reverse. Another involved off-center strikes, where part of the design is cut off entirely. And then there are the dramatic mule errors, coins struck with mismatched dies, never meant to exist. Each of these errors can catapult a penny's value from 1 cent to hundreds of thousands. But what happened with the 2001 penny was even more mysterious. Collectors began to notice subtle differences: pennies struck on the wrong planchets, pennies missing mint marks, pennies that carried double images on Liberty or the date. And then, rumors began to spread. A coin had surfaced. A 2001 penny that wasn't just rare, it was one of a kind, and when it went to auction, the bidding war left dealers stunned. What started as a few $1,000s climbed rapidly. Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Until, finally, the gavel fell. Nearly $1 million for a single penny. Think about that for a moment. Something so small, so ordinary, the kind of coin a cashier might hand back as change for a pack of gum, had the power to change someone's life forever. Because here's the secret that most people miss. The 2001 penny has multiple varieties, but only a few hold the keys to real fortune. Some pennies from 2001 were struck on experimental planchets, test metals that should never have been released. Others show dramatic doubling on the obverse, Lincoln's face shadowed like a ghostly twin. And a few bear off-center strikes so extreme that half the coin is blank. And it gets even stranger. Some collectors discovered 2001 pennies struck on dime stock, thinner, lighter planchets with a silvery hue beneath the copper plating. Others came across coins missing their copper layer entirely, revealing a bright zinc core that shimmered like silver. These errors, while rare, can skyrocket in value, especially in high grades certified by professional grading services. But the story doesn't end there, because one man, an ordinary collector, found his $1 million 2001 penny in the most unlikely place, a small jar of change tucked away in his kitchen. For years, the coin sat unnoticed, jumbled with other cents. But something caught his eye: an unusual thickness, a strange surface. He sent it to be graded, and the experts confirmed what no one could believe. He was holding a coin that would change his life forever. Collectors were stunned. Dealers rushed to get their hands on it. Headlines rippled through the coin community. A 2001 penny, worth nearly $1 million, and here's where the story gets even more thrilling. For every one of these coins discovered, countless others are still waiting. Coins tucked away in drawers, jars, piggy banks. Coins being spent right now at gas stations and grocery stores. The idea that you, yes you, could unknowingly be holding one in your hand this very moment, that's what makes the hunt so electrifying. The first step is simple: check the mint mark. A 2001 penny with no mint mark means it came from Philadelphia, but error coins can surface from any mint. Look carefully at the lettering on Liberty and "In God We Trust." If you see doubling, letters that appear doubled or shadowed, you may have a valuable doubled die. Next, examine the date. If it looks thicker or stretched, that's another red flag. Flip the coin. Inspect the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Do you notice distortion? Missing details? An off-center strike? These are signs of rare minting errors. And most importantly, check the surface. If the coin appears silvery, thinner, or missing its copper layer, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. That's where values soar into the hundreds of thousands and, in rare cases, close to $1 million. Condition is everything. A coin in uncirculated condition, crisp and flawless, can fetch prices exponentially higher than a worn version. That's why collectors protect their finds and send them for grading, locking in authenticity and value. But even circulated examples, if they carry the right error, can still bring life-changing money. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector found his treasure in a roll of cents from the bank. Not all of these coins have been found. Somewhere out there, tucked away in coffee cans, coin jars, and forgotten boxes, lie the remaining undiscovered 2001 Lincoln pennies worth small fortunes. Think about that the next time you dismiss a penny as worthless. Because the most valuable treasures in life often hide in plain sight. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, take a closer look at those pennies. Check the date, 2001. Inspect the details, the mint mark, the surface. What may seem like a simple cent could be your key to unimaginable fortune, and remember this. The next $1 million discovery is not locked in a vault. It's not hidden in some museum. It could be sitting right in front of you. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today, it's worth more than $1 million. Imagine holding a simple 2004 Lincoln penny in your hand. Copper-colored, worn from years of circulation. You might toss it in a change jar, slide it across a counter, or drop it in a parking lot without a second thought. But one coin from that year, one seemingly ordinary penny, has shocked collectors, shattered records, and changed a life forever, because this was no ordinary penny. It carried a secret. A mistake so tiny that millions of people overlooked it. A minting error that turned a single cent into a fortune. And when it finally surfaced, it sold for a staggering $1.10 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The year was 2004. America was still producing the familiar Lincoln Memorial penny, a design collectors knew well. Billions were struck in Philadelphia and Denver, flooding into circulation. To most, it was just another year, another penny. But buried among the billions, a few rare survivors emerged, coins with subtle, shocking flaws. One collector, a man who'd spent his life combing through pocket change, stumbled upon a penny that looked different. At first glance, it seemed like every other coin. But under the light, he noticed something strange. The mint mark, the tiny letter pressed beneath the date, looked wrong. Doubled. Distorted. As though the die had slipped when the coin was struck. He didn't know it at the time, but what he was holding was one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever created. A 2004 mint mark error so rare, so elusive, that dealers had been whispering about it for years. Collectors were shocked when it was authenticated. This wasn't just a penny. It was history in copper. A living mistake from the U.S. Mint, frozen in metal, hiding in plain sight for more than a decade, and when it finally hit the auction block, the bidding war was unlike anything anyone expected. But here's the part most people miss: this coin didn't start at $1 million. It started at just a few hundred. Then the bidding climbed to thousands. Then tens of thousands. Collectors from around the world joined in. The room grew tense, voices clashed, numbers leapt higher and higher. Until finally, silence. The hammer fell. The price? Over $1.10 million. One penny. One moment. One miracle, and yet, here's where it gets even more unbelievable: not just one example exists. Whispers among collectors suggest there may be more, coins struck with the same flawed dies, still lurking out there in circulation. Maybe in someone's old coffee can of change. Maybe in a dusty drawer. Maybe in your very pocket right now. That's where the story takes its sharpest turn, because the difference between a 1-cent trinket and $1 million treasure comes down to a single detail: the mint mark. On these rare 2004 Lincoln pennies, the mint mark appears doubled, a classic sign of a die error. Some coins even show doubling in the date itself. The letters look shadowed, doubled, almost vibrating against the copper surface. To an untrained eye, it looks like wear. But to a collector, it's the mark of fortune. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Stories are spreading of people finding them in pocket change and being offered life-changing sums, and still, most people let them slip away. The US Mint has never fully confirmed how many of these errors were struck. Some say a handful. Some say dozens. No one knows. Which means every 2004 penny you see carries the tiniest chance of being that $1 million miracle. Think about that. Every time you dump change into a jar, every time you ignore a penny on the sidewalk, you could be walking past the greatest discovery of your life. Collectors often say that coin collecting is a game of patience, of sharp eyes, of persistence. And this coin proves them right. One man's pocket change became a ticket to $1.1 million. His story has inspired thousands to look closer, to search harder, to believe that treasure might still be hiding in the most ordinary of places. Here's exactly what to look for. A 2004 Lincoln Memorial penny. Check the mint mark beneath the date. If you see doubling, if it looks shadowed, doubled, or misshapen, set it aside immediately. Examine the date too. Some examples show doubling in the numbers themselves. Don't mistake it for scratches or wear. True doubling has crisp, doubled lines, as if the number itself was struck twice, and remember this, condition matters. A coin in pristine shape is worth far more than one that's worn down. But even a circulated error coin could change your life. Collectors were shocked when the first example broke the $1 million mark. But no one doubts it anymore. These coins exist. They are real. And they are worth more than anyone ever imagined. So the next time a penny passes through your hands, don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it. Look closer. Study it. Because hidden in plain sight could be the rarest 2004 penny of them all. That single coin, that single cent, could be your miracle.